I don't think there is a point where you make the decision. I think it happens gradually. In my case, definitely it has happened gradually. And if I take a step back, when you have a life where you have not got everything, where you have aspirations, where you see that people's decision makes a difference in your life, people's decision improves or has impact on the quality of your lives, I feel that you then appreciate the contribution someone is making and how it can impact your life. In my case, I'm a very close observer of things, and I observed people's decision, politicians' decision, and how it has impacted us, whether it's health, education, your quality of life, housing, a number of areas of our life, all the areas of life, in fact. It has been influenced by decision making. So I feel that being in politics, you can make that change. You can create positive influence by being in politics.
Welcome to another inspiring episode of Rack the Brain podcast, where we bring the real life skills and stories that shape tomorrow's leaders. Today, we are honored to be joined by someone who truly walks the talk of leadership, Councillor Sameer Pandey. He made history in 2023 when he became city's first Lord Mayor from Indian subcontinent. With a background in technology, law, and running businesses, Councillor Pandey brings a unique blend of innovation and community focus to his leadership. He has a vision to make Parramatta Sydney's best place to live, work, and grow. Born in Jamshedpur and now a community leader in Australia, Sameer's journey is one of bold decisions, cultural pride, and relentless service. His story is not only historic, but also deeply personal and inspiring. Whether you are a young student, a curious parent, or an aspiring change maker, this episode is a masterclass in leadership, identity, and public service. Welcome, Sameer, to the show. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Avinav. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Finally, we get to meet. It's been a while.
It's been a while, yes.
Finding a common slot, and
absolutely.
And here we are.
Thank you for having me and to be here.
Thanks for finding time out of your busy schedule for this interview. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So, Sameer, I want to start with, let's go to the basic and your roots. What was your childhood like, and what were some of the inspirations that made you what you are today?
Sure. So I was born in Jamshedpur. I grew up in Jamshedpur until year 12. I was in Jamshedpur. And my childhood was no different to anyone who was growing up in the 80s. Simple, I would say. Very different from what we have today. A simple childhood. You explore things. There was no devices. There was no TVs, no screens. Only in 80s, I think TV started becoming popular in the 80s. But until when we were young, in 80s, early 80s, we would be out mostly. You did not have many games, so you would just make some games out when you're out. Cricket was the whole thing that we would play. Cricket was one of the games that we would play. So I think it was quite simple, limited choices in food, limited choices in sports, in education. But it was good. It was simple. And it also allowed you to be creative.
Yes.
It allowed you to be, to explore because you had time. So I think it was something where we learned a lot of values. We learned a number of things which I feel today we might not be because we're exploring. We're out there. When you leave home to play on a weekend, you don't come until late in the afternoon or evening. You're told that come before the sunset. But until then, no one is calling you. No one is bothering you. So I think it was quite good, a simple childhood. So I studied in Jamshedpur. I was not very keen on education at this stage. When I say not very keen on education, I was more an outdoor person than studies. That changed in year 11. Throughout my schooling, I would get away with the exams and all very by studying a bit only. I was not very interested in studying. I was interested in outdoor stuff, being a bit naughty in most of the cases. Sports a bit, martial arts. But then year 11 changed a lot of things for me. Year 11, I was topper in my college. Year 12, I was topper. And then I moved to Visakhapatnam for my bachelor's.
And then after bachelor's, were you still in India for a few years, or you moved to?
No, I finished my bachelor's. The year I finished my bachelor's, that's the year I came here. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And when was that? What year was that?
99.
99?
I finished my bachelor's in IT at Visakhapatnam. I finished maybe around mid-year, June, July sometime. And November the same year, I was here on a business visa.
And then stayed this.
Yes, the initial plan was to be for 3 months.
Okay.
I came on a 3 months visa. And I said, there is nothing to lose. You go to a new country, you look at the country, and then you can come back. So that was the initial plan. But obviously, it has been 26 years now, 27 years probably.
So I'm curious. Look, today when I see you on social media, you're out there. You're pretty much talking all day long, and you always put that smile on your face. So that passion for public service and your personality, is it something to do with your growing up? Maybe it was your family environment, or how did you then build up that this kind of the glib and a powerful personality over a period of time?
No, I wasn't like this when I was growing up. I was quite shy. But within close circle, I was fine. But I would not explore and go out and network and participate in dramas and events and those kind of things. That wasn't me. I think I might have put my hand up for two, like you have school dramas and all, twice, and both the times they were cancelled. So I don't think it was meant to be. But I think bachelor's is when I feel I started talking a bit more out, being a bit more out. I think some of the qualities I had probably came in full during my bachelor's time in terms of leadership. I was very good at certain things, obviously learning skills still, but I think during the bachelor's time, it was some of those contexts, some of those environments which allowed me to start nurturing some of the qualities that I have today, I feel. When I came here as well, I was in technology. And as you know, people from technology background and IT are not very social. And that's the perception. And I think there is some merit in that. So since 99, I was with few companies. I then took on management role. I was global head of IT for a health research company. And that's where, again, those qualities, those lived experiences helped me to shape and look at things from a different perspective today. I feel those initial years was where the foundation, like anyone else. But I feel that having lived experiences, I come from a very humble background, a humble family. We have seen challenges, we have seen resilience in our parents, we have seen, and that's what has motivated me as well. Their hope and their faith, and that's for every parent. I think, the parents want you to be to do the best you can. They want you to be better than what they have achieved and achieve more than what they have achieved. And that faith and trust, I feel, to some extent drives the children as well. In my case, certainly it did. Their focus was on us, me and my siblings. And I think some of those earlier days when you had struggles that built the resilience, that built some leadership skills, which was not out there. It wasn't to be seen, but in your mind, you develop those skills slowly. I think the seed gets planted at those early days. Some of the leadership skills of integrity, credibility, honesty, collaboration. I think that's all empathy, compassion that comes from, I feel that comes from family. You see something in the family, and over a period, you might not do it at that stage, but it is at the back of your mind.
I agree. And life is the best teacher.
Correct.
And there's so much of learning. There's no rule book for life skills. You've got to be experiencing to learn those skills. So let's take a step ahead, and then you moved to Sydney in 1999. And what were those initial days like? Did you know people, or did you find challenge adjusting to this new place?
I don't think I found it challenging. My mindset is such that I don't see anything which bothers me much, and I think that has been the case for quite some time. So you come to, and I say this sometimes when I speak these days, that for someone like us, you have nothing to lose. You either learn or you win.
Good.
So when I came initially, I did not know one person in the country.
Wow.
No relatives, no friends, no acquaintances. The only person who I spoke to was my employer when I was in India. And that's the only person I spoke with. I have never seen him, but I came here, and I think I came with just enough cash for a week.
Really?
That was that was in 99. But I had a job. I landed. I started working on the same day, which was good. But that's where it started in 99, with no acquaintances, no friends, enough to survive for a week. And that's where we took off from there.
Was there any time a feeling that maybe I need to go back because I don't know anyone?
No, because I was, that as I mentioned just before this, that our childhood was a childhood of creativity, of exploring nature. So that exploring nature was still there. So in 99, when I was by myself, not for a day, I thought that, what should I do? Should I go back? That did not strike me, because you wanted to explore, you wanted to learn something. Every place, every person teaches you something. And I was just open to learning. I always had that open mindset, that let's see what happens.
And this is a very profound point you have mentioned. And this is for the audience, that you come to a new country, and today you see so many people from our country and the community here. But in 1999, I feel it must be far and few. You must be not seeing too many people out.
That's correct. I think around that time, from statistics, we had about 100,000, less than 100,000 people from Indian diaspora in the country.
Wow.
Now we have almost close to 1 million. But in around that time, we have grown 10 times. I moved towards Western Sydney in 2003, around that time, 2003. And I was in Ashfield for the first few years. Actually, I've moved twice in my life in 26 years. So Ashfield, Strathfield, and then Western Sydney. And when I used to catch train from Tungabi, you would hardly see anyone from Indian or subcontinent background in the station. There were some people, but not many. Today, it's almost reverse.
I agree. But think about the positive of that. You got an opportunity to know other cultures, you could assimilate well. And I think that has kind of brought you closer to the community, because you're not just working with Indian community, you work with all people from all communities.
And that's very important. I feel that it's very, very important that you acknowledge the community and people around you.
Yes.
You make a conscious effort to learn about them, and you make a conscious effort again to live with them, work with them, play with them. So I think it's something which is very, very important. Australia is one of the most successful multicultural country in the world.
Yes.
And part of that is because people make conscious effort to move out of their comfort zone sometimes and work with people. So that Mindcare said that culture is what makes where we are today as a country. Beautiful.
So I'm just, I'm really trying to visualize your story. At what point you felt that now is a good time for me to be getting into public service and follow this path? Because a lot of people don't even know what this path is, and they get so engrossed in their day-to-day, livelihood. They forget this is also something they can explore and make a change.
I don't think there is a point where you make the decision. I think it happens gradually. In my case, definitely it has happened gradually. I always, and if I take a step back, when you have a life where you have not got everything, where you have aspirations, where you see that people's decision makes a difference in your life, people's decision improves or has impact on the quality of your lives. That decision has much more, that their decisions have, impacts every aspects of your life. I feel that you then appreciate the contribution someone is making and how it can impact your life. In my case, again, I'm a very close observer of things, and I observed people's decision, politicians' decision, and how it has impacted us, whether it's health, education, your quality of life, housing, a number of areas of our life, all the areas of life, in fact, has been influenced by decision making. So I feel that being in politics, you can make that change. You can create positive influence by being in politics. And that's why initially I put my hand up. I thought we can make a difference. But also on the other side, I'm extremely grateful. I've always been grateful about my own journey. Every day we are here, I'm grateful. And I think that gratitude also brings that sense of giving back. That you have been a recipient of things. You have achieved something for yourself.
At a young age.
At a young age or at any age, I feel. I think you must be grateful about, we all should be grateful about things that we have today. And I think the sense of gratitude will allow you to give back. So that was always there, that I probably have got my fair share of my achievements or opportunities in a way. And I want to create those opportunities for everyone. This is what drives me today, is to create the similar opportunities for people that I have got from this place.
That's interesting. So can I safely assume that you getting into politics was a good decision?
It is. It depends on which day and which time you ask me sometimes, because it is not always. If I look at the impact that a politician can make, if I look at the contribution they can make, if I look at the privilege that someone like me have, we feel very grateful. It's the privilege to be in council. It's the privilege to be in an elected role for any politician. But it also comes with your fair share of not so good aspects of politics. Not everyone appreciates your contribution sometimes. Sometimes a lot of your work goes hidden. You also have to deal with perception. Your life is open book.
Yes.
You're in public life. You're in public life. You also have people, and like any other profession, it's like any other profession where you'll have people who might not be very happy about where you're heading. They might not be, you're seen as threat. You're seen as. So I think that it comes with its fair share of not so good aspects, but that's only a minority. If you look at the bigger picture, it is an area which I absolutely do not regret being. I think the amount of opportunities you have to make a contribution and change things and have a positive impact is enormous, and that's what drives me as well. That ability to make change.
And this is something that you touched upon, making a change. So let's talk about some interesting stories in your journey since you became a councillor to this time and a couple of years now. What are some of these exciting moments or something that you recall and you feel you're so proud of being where you are? Is there something you want to share with the audience?
Sure. I think that happens every day. I think every single day, my daily routine is about 12 to 14 hours, 15 hours a day. That's my everyday average working time. And I enjoy it. During that time, on an average, I would say I deal with at least 150 communications during one day. And that includes, people's calls, messages, emails. And in that period, you have helped in the day dozens of people, which is very rewarding. So every single day you wake up and you have an opportunity to give back. You have an opportunity to help someone. You have an opportunity to improve the quality of life of someone. You have an opportunity to make a difference in the community. And it could be small things. Quite often they are those small things which people are very grateful about. It could be a broken footpath where someone has fell. It could be a pothole somewhere. It could be anything in the community. So if I look at some of the recent, or even today, for example, every single day you deal with dozens of different issues. So being in politics allows you to have those different skills, which helps you then to make a contribution. So every day is a good day. Every day I feel that it's a privilege. It's an opportunity for making a difference, which also allows you to grow as a person. What I know today is from people. Every single person I meet, I learn something from them. Sometimes you learn what to do. Sometimes you learn what not to do. But you still learn. As long as you have that open mindset and a mindset that you are willing to learn. So it's just, I enjoy being in politics. I enjoy being in the community, I should say. And local government is one of those levels of government where you are close to people. People have access to you. They can walk into you. They can call you anytime. They can, in my case, my personal number is there. Yes, I think you're at all the places.
You're one public figure who is easily accessible, and somehow people have your number.
So my personal number, which I have had for 25 plus years now, the same number is the number that I had on my election flyers. It is the number which I have on my social media.
Interesting.
So I return every single call to the extent I can. Every single email that I have received in the past 6-7 years. I've been in council for 8 years, and first year was a bit learning curve. In the last 6-7 years, every single email I have responded to. Anyone who has contacted me for any assistance, I have responded to.
And I can vouch on that because I sent an email and I got a reply really quick. I'm like, I didn't expect, to be honest, that you would respond, and I did get a response from you, and you agreeing for this. So, one thing that you are admired about is that you are a big a fan of promoting the local businesses. You're invited for new business coming up. Isn't it something that gives you so much of satisfaction to see people coming up with that entrepreneurial mindset and establishing business, not just going for the jobs, which are important, but then we need more businesses in Australia.
Absolutely. I think the day and age that we live in, businesses are the backbone of our economy. It creates wealth. It also creates jobs. A number of businesses are also contributing to our community. A number of businesses that we know in Parramatta, they play a very vital role in supporting our local community, whether it's sports, whether it's not-for-profits, charities, they are supported by these businesses. 98% of our businesses invest in Sydney are small and medium businesses, employing less than 20 people. So it's vital that all levels of government provide support for small businesses and medium businesses and businesses in general. My focus is obviously small and medium businesses, but also the large businesses who need different set of environment, for example. And we want to create that in Parramatta. 30% of the top 500 companies, Fortune 500 companies, have some presence in Parramatta. And that's because we have created an environment where they can flourish, where they can thrive. And that's what we want to see. We want to see that businesses choose Parramatta as a place where they want to establish themselves. Earlier this week, I was talking about why we need to promote Silverwater as the Silicon Valley of Sydney. It has potential. It is part of our 2050 vision in council, which has been one of my initiatives when I was the mayor. And I feel that Parramatta has such a huge potential. These potentials is what excites me. The potential that we have within our people, the potential that we have within the city that we live in, the potential that we have as a community. And we have to always remember that we are custodians of everything that we have today. We don't own anything. We are custodians of this place, the nature, what has been given to us. And we must pass it on to the next generation in a better shape and form than that was given to us.
Well said. This brings me to, I'm just thinking about the other topic, which is you touched upon leadership. So you were a global head of a company, and then obviously you were running your own business, and then you got into politics. You get a perception from the top as a leader. So there are a few values you would have developed over the period of time. What are some of those values that still guide you today and help you, especially during the difficult times?
Sure. I think there's some fundamental qualities that leaders should have. And then depending on which sector you are in, you will have to have different qualities as well. So if you are in a not-for-profit, your qualities will be probably different from someone who is running a Fortune 500 company. But fundamentally, those leadership qualities are overlap even among the sectors. I'll go through some of them, but there's not one thing or 5 things or 10 things that you can have. I think it's after a period, it becomes part of your life. It is something which, not one thing. It's like any other skill set. If you're in media, just having, for example, just having a recording studio might not be enough, isn't it? You know what to have difference. There are few qualities which are very fundamental to those who are leading us. And if I can summarize them into A, B, C, D, E, F, so that it's easy to remember. A, accountability. I feel it's very important for leaders to be accountable, that they own things, that they take responsibility. We make many decisions in a day, all of us, politicians even more. And sometimes you will get it wrong. When it does happen, you should put your hand up and say, I made a mistake. So I think you have to be accountable for your actions. B, balance. In our day-to-day life, balance is very important. In a leader's life as well, getting that balance right is very important. On one side, you have, let's say, your staff. You have your senior management. You have your stakeholders. You have your product that you have to sell. So getting that balance right and making sure that you are not focusing on one thing more than other. You have to prioritize, of course, but getting the balance right is important. For us in council, for example, one of the biggest challenge, I would say, for City of Parramatta is to get the balance right between the development and ensuring that we have adequate social, transport, infrastructure, social, cultural, and transport infrastructure. So getting that balance is very, very important. We cannot just have buildings. We need to build the infrastructure as well. We cannot just have social infrastructure or transport or cultural. We need to have a balance there as well. And that's one of the challenges. So getting the balance right is, I feel, the second aspect of leadership. The third C is compassion. You need to be compassionate about what you're doing. As a leader, people are looking towards you for support, for assistance, for guidance, for mentoring. And you have to take the time out to understand people and do what you can. You cannot solve everyone's problem, but you must make an attempt to do what you can. And having empathy and being compassionate is probably one of the very important quality of a leader.
Agree.
You got to look at people as people. The fourth D is decision making for any leader. As I said, leaders make decisions every day, every moment. And to make the right decision could be difficult. And sometimes what is the right decision for you might not be a right decision for someone else, a different stakeholder. But making that decision is important. So I feel being decisive is important. Diplomacy as a leader. So that's D. E is for ethics. You must have ethics in what you do. You must have values and principles that you apply to your decision making, that you apply to the way you govern your organization or people. So I think ethics is very important in our life. And F, I would say, is fairness. We must be fair in what we do. We must be transparent. We must be unbiased. So that fairness is also a very important quality of a leader. So that's your A, B, C, D, E, F of leadership qualities. A is for accountability. B is for balance. C is for compassion. D is for diplomacy and decision making. E is for ethics, and F for fairness. So there's a number of qualities that we can say that we know we need to have, but I feel that these are fundamental to being a good leader.
That's a really great summary of leadership. Very well put.
Thank you.
And coming back to leadership, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in the country, and obviously you met him when he was in the country. How did you feel about meeting him, and any takeaway from this magnetic personality?
So for many months, it did not sink into me as to what has happened. When I met Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Albanese, that was my day one as the Lord Mayor of Parramatta.
Okay.
I was elected just the day before, and then I was hosting both the Prime Ministers here.
And that became a really big news.
It was a big news. It was a big news because obviously I was the first Lord Mayor of Indian heritage in the country. And it was a good feeling that the Prime Minister calls you by name and acknowledges you in a global stage. So it was humbling. It was very humbling. But as I said, it did not sink in for many months because you were so busy that moment was there, and it just becomes a memory which you will remember afterwards. Sometimes a number of things in our life happens in such a way that it almost goes into a time capsule. So it is one of those time capsules in life that you have that memory, and there are times when you think about that and you feel good. So it was a very, very, very humbling moment. It was a very inspiring moment as well. It was something which I did not realize the impact of that at that moment. And that's because a number of people since then contacted me, people who are in politics from Indian background, and they said, we were so inspired and proud to see that someone from Indian background can become Lord Mayor. And if you can become a mayor, we can look forward to that as well. And that's what I would like to see happen, that people who have reached point, because of our involvement in politics, we are in public. But since in my last 8 years in politics, I have met so many people, inspiring people, and meet them, I would say, every day. I meet people whose story needs to be told, whose journey needs to be shared, because there is someone who will get inspired by them. And we need for people to see that the glass ceiling has been broken. People have done that, and if someone else can do it, you can do that as well. So we want to tell that story. We want them to come forward, and I am grateful that that's what you're doing as well, in a way, that you are allowing people and providing a platform for them to tell their story. And hopefully people will get inspired, and we look forward to being that person. We look forward to doing things which they otherwise would have thought is not possible.
So this is interesting because, I never thought I'll have you today, but the conversation started since last year. And the conversation was around that kids of today, when you talk to them, nobody says, I want to be a politician. The fact is, if you really want to make an impact, you can by becoming a politician. Maybe they don't know the pathway. Maybe they're not exposed. What is your thought about more and more youngsters who want to enter politics? How do you visualize more people from our community entering this? And do you think it's a fabulous opportunity in today's time? And is it a step worth taking? Because there are many things linked to being a politician. As you said, you learned a lot over the last 8 years. So looking back, what is your view on why youngsters should or should not be entering the field of politics?
I think I'll begin by saying that the young people are the leaders of today. Quite often we hear and see that or say that young people are the leaders of tomorrow. Not. They are leaders of today. We have a young population, and I always say in council that we need to engage with young people. There's no point in doing things today for a future generation and not involving that generation.
Yes.
Isn't it? So young people should be part of the decision making. Young people should be part of creating that vision that we are aspiring for. Because most likely they are the one who will be there. We will not be there probably. So it's really important that the mindset should be that they are leaders of today, not tomorrow. That's one. Secondly, politics is also not for everyone. But we do need representation of young people in politics. What we're doing today is for today, but also it's for future. And young people must be part of creating that vision. It has to be a collaborative process. But can I also say that young people have aspirations? Everyone has aspirations. But for younger people, whatever they want to achieve in their life, politics is one of those platforms. Being involved in politics is one of those areas which will teach them a number of skills, life skills, which they can then transfer to any areas that they want. You get a lot of academic teaching from schools and colleges and all, which is very, very good. But I think politics, being in politics, involved in politics, being involved actively in community, teaches you a number of life skills, which can then be used in your own area. So I encourage a young person every day. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are in terms of which side of politics you are, you want to be in, but getting involved is very important. This is where you will make change. Even if you have not made a change, you will learn skills which you will carry in your life, which will be useful. Whether you talk about communication, talk about resilience, talk about having a balanced mindset, talk about diplomacy, talk about decision making. All those things you learn if you are part of a platform, and politics is just one of those platforms. If you're not interested in politics because you feel that it's not for me, I think you need to rethink, because everything that happens in politics, decision making, impacts some aspect of your lives. So it is important. I think saying that politics, I do not want to know about politics, is not the best.
Do you think a shy person can become a politician?
So if I can become a politician, I think anyone can become a politician. I was shy, as I mentioned. I was very shy when I was growing up. And politics taught me to overcome some of my fears. Today, I feel very comfortable talking on any topic with anyone. Any topic, on anyone, any matter. I might not be an expert, but I have an appreciation of the sector. And that's through lived experiences, but that's also through being in the politics. You get to know people's issues every day. You get to understand different people, different mindset, different sectors, different aspects of our community. There is no university which will teach you what politics teaches you in a day. If you are in the middle of the spotlight, from morning till night, it will teach you things which you will not, invaluable things.
So, this is something interesting I want to talk about is there are times when you see some youngsters really good at debating, declamation. There's a natural response I've heard from many parents is, this child deserves to become a politician because he's a good speaker. And then there are examples of Obama and many other who were in the debating club. Looks like not necessarily. As long as you have the desire to face your fears and start talking to people. So if I have to ask you, think about the day one of your being selected as a counselor, fast forward 8 years, you would have seen a significant shift on your own communication style, language. Isn't it fascinating?
It is. It's absolutely fascinating. It is absolutely fascinating. You have to be conscious, though. You have to live a conscious life. You need to understand where you need the improvement. You need to sometimes it's through observing that you will learn things. Sometimes through formal training. Sometimes through mentorship. But you have to have an open mindset. Or else that 8 years of experience or 20 years of experience is nothing but 1 times 20. But sometimes it's 20 years. And yeah. So I think if you have an open mindset, this sector will teach you so many things.
So we talked about the good things of being a public figure. What are some of the real-time and real-life challenges that you feel people should also be prepared for? It has its own bed of thorns, isn't it?
It is. It's, as I said, it's not for everyone. It does come up with some of the side effects. You get to see people in different light sometimes. You get to know people in different light than what you see them outside. But you have to develop some thick skills. You also have to be very focused on what is it that brought you here. What's your purpose? Once you have understood that purpose, my purpose is to serve. The noise that you will have around you, the distractions that you will have around you, created by people, created by those who might not like your views, those who might have different views, different personalities. I think slowly you will understand that as if you have understood your purpose, you'll understand how to deal with them as well. But it could be very lonely as well. It could be very lonely because on a number of things, the buck stops with you.
Valid point.
You have to, there's no one else that you can go to, but you cannot go to someone every single day, every single hour. So you got to observe that. You got to make your own decisions. You got to live with that loneliness sometimes.
And you got to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
You got to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And so those are the teachings. And can I say that these are things which some of us have an advantage. When I say some of us who have, I go back to Indian history.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at and read history, so I think people from Indian heritage have a unique advantage. Because of the history that India had, history of prosperity, history of invasion, history of standing for what is right, history of seeking justice, the family values. And if I give an example of, let's say, someone like Chanakya, who was probably the first civic leader, taught so many things at the time.
Which we still follow today.
So I think if we only lean back to history, we will have a solution for a number of problems that we have in the modern world. We don't have to invent anything, I feel. We have to discover what's already there. I also feel that our background and belief in spirituality also keeps us grounded. I did not believe much in meditation or spirituality or being conscious. It was not a need. But today I feel that my mindset has slightly changed. And I look at things from a different lens. It allows me to keep me grounded. It allows me to be humble. It allows me to focus. It allows me not to stress about things which is not in your control. It allows me to look people as people. It allows me to look at things from a different perspective. It allows me to let go of things. It allows me not to focus too much in future and get anxious, or focus too much in the past and get depressed. It allows me to have an open mind. So there's a lot of things which we can talk about in terms of spirituality, and it's ingrained in our history. It's ingrained in our day-to-day life. For many of us, some of us we are still learning, which is good. But I think that changes. It's these are the kind of education I feel that we should be having in any young people. Financial literacy, how to manage stress, how to meditate, how to emotional intelligence, decision making. A number of these things, I think, either you can be trained in, but still when the time comes for you to implement, it will be a testing time. Yeah. But at least you've got the skills, you've got the knowledge to apply when there is a context. So I feel that our history teaches a lot of us, teaches us a lot. And if we are only conscious and understand that we are not in a race,
which is hard.
Which is hard.
That's a fair point. And talking about meditation, one of my earlier guests is actually from IIT and IM, and he was a guitarist. But then he found what his calling was, and eventually now he's a full-time volunteer with Isha Foundation. So it's all about calling. It can come sooner, it could come later. But there is some force within you that gives you that sense of direction and pride in what you want to be in future. Let's go to not Councillor Sameer Pandey, but Sameer as an individual. You have a family, you have a beautiful family, and you've got 2 kids. How do you balance this extreme pressure of 12 to 14 to 16 hours a day? And then obviously, you also need to be a doting father and doing justice as well. Isn't it hard?
It was hard. And it is hard. There is nothing which you can do to justify that you're not there sometimes with the family. As I said, one of the qualities of leadership, B, is balance. And that applies to creating that balance in the family as well. It's difficult for politicians, but it's difficult for everyone. People who are doing multiple jobs, for example. I come across people who are doing 3 jobs just to have the bare minimum, pay the rents, pay the bills, make sure that kids are getting the education that they need, make sure there is food on the table. Now, their life is far more difficult than some of ours. In my case, I feel that I've tried to balance things to the extent I can, but you cannot do what we do without the support of family.
Yes.
So in my case, I feel that The family has understood that we are not family of 4 or 6 or with cousins and brothers and sisters, but we are a bigger family. So if I'm spending time with people outside at this time of the day or at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock on phone, they understand that it's a bigger purpose. So your family is bigger. So I think that if the family's support is not there, it's not going to be easy at all. But I feel very grateful that because of the support of the family, that we're able to do what we are doing.
And have any of your kids thought about becoming a politician?
No, they don't want to be. They don't want to be. And I have never said to them, for me, I have never put, emphasized on one area of life for them. I wanted them to be a good person to begin with. I wanted to have the values which was given to me, but I probably adopted and applied them a bit later in my life. So my job as a father, and I see, is to plant some of the seeds in their mind. It's very difficult sometimes for anyone to understand and appreciate things when there is no context.
Makes sense.
But if you planted that seed in their mind, when the context is there, hopefully they will think and remember and apply that. Oh, this is what dad said, this is what my mom said, and they were right. Isn't it?
I agree.
So our job is to plant that. And I also strongly believe that if you are if you have got some of the qualities, you will do well in any area you are in. You don't need to become a politician or an entrepreneur or a doctor or a nurse or any. You will apply that skill in any area and you'll do it well. And I think it's about also what is it that you want to be. No profession is lower than other profession in my mind. Everyone has an interest. You had an interest in media and you became a person of interest in media. Someone has an interest in arts and culture and they become an artist. Someone has interest in becoming a health professional, and I think they all contribute. If you think about our community and life will not be the same if you even remove one of the sectors.
I agree.
Or one of the professions. So everyone has a role to play. And as long as you feel that that's what is giving you satisfaction, that's what makes you feel happy, I think that's the way to go. So for children, both my children, I think they are, I'm very fortunate to spend my time with them, to see them grow. I think that's my one of the biggest, sort of achievements, I would say, is to see children grow, to see that they're doing well, they're healthy, they are willing to learn, they are willing to do things, come out of comfort zone sometimes. So I think those are the things which are important. We all will find our place in our life.
Yes, we eventually do.
Eventually, we all will find our place. When we do find that place, we need to be comfortable. We need to be happy about things, because if we cannot be happy, everything else is meaningless.
Right. Coming to the kids, there's a joke I say when people ask me, what is the best thing about moving to Australia? I say, when I was in India, my kids were growing horizontally. When I came to Australia, I could see them grow vertically because I could spend time with them.
And it is, I think, so success can mean different to different people. For some, it might be name. For some, it might be fame. Some, it might be running a large business. For some, it might be just traveling and, that I'm successful because I'm everywhere in the world. For some, it could be wealth. For some, it could be that they have achieved a level of maturity, spirituality. But for some, it could be small things. So if you have a family member who cannot walk. For that family and that person, walking 2 steps forward is success. They don't need anything else. So we should not confuse the success definition of success with the definition of success of someone else. Just because someone is happy about something does not mean that I need the same thing. Yeah. And I think we should be very clear about it. We should be very conscious. And I think you mentioned about a point about before. And I think that the first thing we all should do, young and us and everyone else, is to know who you are. What is it that you want? What's your purpose? In today's world, again, we are trying to imitate someone else. And we do that for some time, and then we find someone else and we imitate them. We find someone else and we lose our identity. We're not what we used to be. We are a mixture. And I feel that it's really important that you just believe in what you want to do and being conscious about that. Always take good things from people. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Observe and take good things out of anyone that you meet. But in my case, I don't want to live someone else's life. I want to live a life which gives me satisfaction. Be authentic.
You know what? You should start a podcast channel.
Yes.
You're so good at storytelling. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. But
I have seen your photographs. I think you're a regular gym person. So help me understand, how does your day start and what does a typical day look like?
So I wake up at 5 a.m., generally around 5 a.m. And that's because my son wakes up at 5 and he's 13, but he has this time or discipline just to wake up at 5. And because there is a bit of noise here and there, I have started, and that's my clock now. I don't have to put an alarm or anything. 5 o'clock, I'm up. The first thing I try to do is stretch. So I do some stretching. And if there is something pressing for the day, I try to look at that. If not, I try to do some breathing exercise. Simple ones, maybe 5-10 minutes. Some days I then go and do some exercise at home. So it's twice a week when I am at the gym in the morning. Those days I don't do much at home. It's at gym. But other days I try to do some exercise, which I have a schedule of at home. So we have a small gym at home. And so that's about, up to, let's say, 6:30 or so. I then look at if there was anything which I left yesterday, or I have missed an important call, or I have missed any call, in fact, doesn't matter what it is. I put that in my calendar for the day. So I try to organize my calendar as early as I can during the day. Then about 7:30 on an average, I leave home. And some days I do go to the backyard, look at the trees and plants in the morning, but only some days depending on the time. At 7:30 around, we leave home. I drop my son at school and I come to Parramatta. And that's when my day starts. So while driving, after dropping him, while I'm dropping him, we talk about things. So we talk about different things, about life.
And he's 13.
He's 13, yeah. So we talk about different things which he can understand. Some days he's 13, so some days he doesn't want to engage much, which is fine. And I tell him that's okay. Let's listen to something. But that's what we do in the morning. But then once I have dropped him at school, I start making calls which I have missed or plan the day. So I try to do as much as I can even before I reach office. So around 8:30, I'm in office, and that's when my day starts. I do like planning the day. I do like, my calls start, some people call me even at 7:38. It's not unusual for me to get calls at 7:38 in the morning.
Because your number is
Number is there, but also people know that that's the time that I'm slightly free than the rest of the day. But then the day starts. So I have a list of things to do. Throughout the day, as I said, I receive between 50 to 100 calls.
Wow.
Throughout the day. And I make sure that I get back to most, if not every single person. Almost everyone gets a call back from me. Sometimes you do miss one or two, but that's the exception. But as I said, out of 50 plus calls, I try to reach out to every person. And this has nothing to do with my business. There's nothing to do with personal stuff. This is mostly community. So it's an enormous amount of time that goes into calls. But the day again is meetings. Meetings, your council takes an enormous amount of time. Most of the evenings you would have something at council. So our council meetings, workshops and briefings, they start around, depending on the day, 5:30, 6 o'clock. So yesterday, for example, something like yesterday, on a typical day, I would have 6 to 10 meetings. Mostly council, mostly people who want to meet on different things. Sometimes you would like to resolve things on the phone, but sometimes, people do want to meet. And on a daily basis, I have at least 5 to 10 people requesting a meeting. And sometimes that it's, you don't want to say no, but at the same time, that the meeting is for this purpose. And if you can resolve that on the phone or through other means, that would be the preference because of time, because you hardly have it any time. So that's in the morning. Mostly it's people and calls and other stuff. But I do have a schedule which I try to follow. Sometimes it's not possible to follow. Afternoon, it's mostly, again, you have planned the day, you have lunch. I try to have a protein shake in the afternoon. I'm a bit conscious about what I eat.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, days like in the last few weeks when you have festivals, Diwali and all, I can't control not having sweets. So you do have, I think you got to live, eat what you have to eat, as long as it's not excessive. So I've had a lot of sweets in the last there's no harm in.
Okay, can I ask you, what's your favorite sweet? Because Modi ji made jalebi famous.
No, kaju katli. Kaju katli is what I think is my favorite. But I'm conscious about what I eat. I try to see that we get at least 70 to 100 grams of protein a day. I think it's really important. While we're looking at protein and other things, we also have to see that we are getting the minerals that our body need. So in the office as well, I have in the kitchen, I have stuff which I try to, as and when I am in office, I try to have. My tea is different in the sense that I try to have tea which, again, helps the body. I take at least 5 to 10 tea or coffee a day because you're mostly out, you're meeting someone, you can't. So sometimes it's back to back. You came out of a meeting, you had coffee, next time you have a tea, you might have a green tea. So that's throughout the day. So throughout the day, it's there's never a dull day.
Always busy.
It's always busy. There's always something that you can. And because I have that sense of service, I personally don't feel very well if I have not come back to people or if I have not helped them. So as I said, in the last 6 years, every single email which I have received, I have responded to. I was just looking at my sent items just recently, and I had over 15,000. This council stuff.
And you reply yourself or you are someone?
But this is all me.
Oh.
This is over 15,000 emails that I have replied myself.
Interesting. And this is over and above your day-to-day routine.
It is, yes. So email takes a lot of time. As I said, it's 50 plus email that needs your action a day.
This brings me to the point, are you also now actively using AI to help you in your work?
I think AI is great. AI is great for research. AI is great for a number of things. Being from a technology background, I can see how quickly it will change the way we do things. So, for example, even using AI to filter stuff in your inbox. I'm quite systematic about my inbox. I use some softwares as well to make sure that I don't miss on things. I try not to rely too much on my memory because every second, every minute, you're on a different platform. You're on a different planet. So you cannot rely on memory. If you do, you will miss. So I have things on my phone where I quickly make notes. AI plays an important role. So it will, in terms of organizing ourselves, in terms of managing ourselves, AI is going to change a number of things. But can I say that most importantly, it's time management is important. Your task management is important. Your calendar management, which takes enormous amount of time for me. But most importantly, it's the mind management. If you can manage your mind,
you can manage
those things. So I think if you have to learn the technique, then it's the mind management techniques.
Do you think you have kind of got a good hang of?
I think so. I feel I'm in control. I feel I'm in control of what I'm doing. I feel I'm in control of various aspects of my daily life. And I think that's through systems. That is by being organized in your mind in the first place, but also being organized and using systems and that's out there. Otherwise, you will be stressing big time. I have seen people with, I was looking at someone's, when this is some time ago, one of this, someone I know, again, who's in a leadership role, and they had 5,000 email in the inbox. I said, how do you manage this? Because how do you know which one you have replied to and which one you have not? But that's how, and you'll miss things. And something like that will stress me big time. So I have a system in my inbox, which I manage very religiously. I would like not to keep more than 30 to 40 emails in my inbox at any given time, maximum. My comfort level is around 20. And there are things which I follow 4 Ds. So do is, 4 Ds. The first day is do. So if something is taking 30 seconds, for example, you just action quickly. That's do. The second D is delegate. So if it is something which someone else can do, delegate that straight away. The third is don't. So there are things which you don't need to do as well. And this could be a number of things which is not important for today. And the fourth one is defer. So postpone it in the sense that it's not important today. There's much pressing issues. But as long as you, again, I have a system in my inbox where I mark these things. So you'll get back eventually. It's not important for today. So I think if there are ways that you can manage things in your mind first, and then apply it. I think everything happens twice in our life. First in your mind, and then in reality. Isn't it?
That's so good. But I would like to add some, I have to make the discussion a little lighter as well.
Sure.
What are your hobbies?
My hobbies, I think, it might sound, I do not have a hobby at this stage. In other words, I take everything as a hobby as well. It's both. So if you're thinking that, I'm playing sports every day or every weekend, I do not have the time for that now. But I do like enjoying, I do like watching TV. So even if it is late in the night, I do watch something for 20, 30 minutes while still doing something. Sometimes it's, you had enough of the day and you just don't want to unwind yourself. But that's something which I find it very relaxing. The second hobby or things which relaxes me is also gardening.
That is quite almost like meditation for
Yes.
many people.
So I have a number of plants at home, and if I do get time, I try to spend some time in the garden. It feels very relaxing. So what else do I do to as a hobby? I used to play things. I still on and off play charity golf, for example.
Golf. Is that your favorite sport, or what would you choose? Cricket over?
I would choose cricket. Although I have not been playing active cricket for a long time, I do like cricket. I do like bowling. I can bowl fast. I can hit very hard. I've been man of the match in some of the charity matches as well. I'm not a technical player, but I hit hard. So if it connects on the bat, it goes a long way. But it's just hobby. I did some pistol shooting several years ago.
Have you tried axe throwing?
Axe throwing, no.
You will love it, trust me. When you get a hang of it, you realize what a beautiful sport it is.
Is it? Okay.
We had some of our friends we got went there and enjoyed. It was a good experience.
So I do read books. I have a number of books. I try to, but I have in my schedule to have 10 minutes of reading books. Some days I do that before going to bed as well. Some days during the day, but it's just difficult sometimes because when you're in firefighting mode, those things are more important. So, but I think that's something which I really would love to do if I have time. Read some books, at least for 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
Who are your role models?
I think I do not have a role model who is famous. So, who is living.
Yeah.
Because I don't know them well. For me to follow someone, I need to know that person. I need to observe that person closely. I need to understand their values. I need to understand, and then I can follow them. And for me, that's one. That's why I do not have a role model who is very famous, which I can tell you. My role models are people who are making a difference. I get inspired by people on the street. I get inspired by people I see in the community. I see people who've spent their entire life, serving and helping people.
Yes.
So those are the people who inspire me, and they are probably, I consider them role models. It could be any other, it could be sports. It could be even a person who has dedicated their life looking after their family. The people I meet, and they might have someone with disability in the family. We have a neighbor, and someone in the family is not well, and all they do is dedicate their life in looking after someone. And that's, I feel, is something worth learning. So I don't have a role model who is very famous. Politically as well, there are a number of people I watch, observe, and I get inspired from them. I get to see what they have done, the positive changes that they have made, how they have made it, and it's inspiring. It's worth learning. But I think overall, people on the ground make me more, are my role model more than someone whom I don't know, someone who I see on the screen. And for me, it's difficult to connect unless I've sat with someone or observed someone. I feel that those are the individuals that I can connect with much better. And for me, again, role model is someone that you can connect with, not just on the screen, but someone to in terms of making a difference. But I also had a number of people from past who are inspiring, and they are in a way role model as well. They might not be famous people, but you have read about them, you have seen them, and I think coming from India, there's no shortage of role models. Our history has people that you can look forward to every day and wake up and be inspired.
I completely agree.
And there are a number of them.
I completely agree. And if you were to ask me this question, I would say that this is a question somebody asked me. Who is your inspiration and who are you inspired by, on a regular basis? I said, what I'm learning and getting inspired is by what I'm doing now. As a podcaster, every time I meet someone who is making a change or who have done something with their life, I'm amazed by that.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say one person. And recently I interviewed someone who has spent last 15 years using virtual reality as a tool to heal the stroke patients. When you talked about for someone's success.
So that I saw that because you sent me the link and I did have a look at inspiring. Yes.
When you were talking about somebody is able to take 5 steps, for them that is success. There's a video that he shared with me about someone named Sam, but his stroke, was wheelchair bound, could not even move his hand. And with 1 year of using his games, he was able to stand and take 1 step. How beautiful is that?
Absolutely.
Someone has committed 15 years of his life to do something which he really never needed to do, but he did it. So it is so inspiring about, what you are doing. And obviously for someone like me, I'm constantly amazed and inspired by people like you. So I think, what, this can go on and on, but, like all good things come to an end. You have such an experience of, leading on the front while you're in politics, obviously running businesses. What do you want to say to the youngsters through this podcast? What are some of the top 3 essential life skills they should embrace if they have to enter the world of politics?
Young people, in fact, they inspire me. A number of young people and what they have done and achieved and their mindset at a very young age is inspiring. I go to some of the events and you look at people performing or emceeing young people or sharing their journey. And you think of, I think, what was I doing at that age? I was not doing anything of that nature. So I think where they are thinking much ahead than our time, I feel, because of what they have, the systems they have around them. There are still few things which I would say, which is very fundamental to achieving your aspirations. First one I would say is invest in learning. Invest your time in yourself, invest your time in others as well, because that's an investment which will come back. So investing in learning, continuous growth is very important. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is have ambition, but balance that with your social You must have ambitions. Balance that with your social responsibility. The third thing which I will say, a skill which is very important for all of us, is patience and persistent. Whatever you decide to do, put some time into it. You have watched the podcast, for example, or you have seen someone, you got motivated, very good. That motivation will only last that evening. Tomorrow is a new day. So unless you can be disciplined about achieving what you want to achieve, that motivation is only a spark. That spark, like, let's say a vehicle, that spark, the ignition, allows every other part of the car or your vehicle to function. But if those things are not functioning, that ignition is of waste. So motivation is good. Motivation speeches and motivation attending, watching these things are good. But if you do not have the discipline, then it's not going to happen. And I say this as well to a number of people, that even if it's small things, like exercise, for example, your physical health, pick 3 things. Just 3 things which you can do every single day without fail. Pick 1 thing if you can't pick 3. And if you think that you can't do this, do something which is habit stacking. Every day you brush in the morning, attach 1 thing to that brushing. So once you have finished the brushing, stretch. That's a new habit which you have attached to an existing habit. So there are ways that you can do things, but again, if I can summarize, the first one, if I can summarize, the first one is invest in learning. You must be prepared, open-minded about things. You must be prepared to invest your time and effort in learning. The second one is you must have ambition. You must have a goal. But balance that with, to repeat that again. Yes. So the first one, if I can summarize that, the first one is invest in learning. That's the biggest investment you'll make. That's the most important investment you'll make. Invest in learning. The second one is you must have ambition and goals. Now that goal sometimes will change, it's absolutely fine. But also balance that goal with your social responsibility. We all have a social responsibility, and you must balance your personal ambition with your social responsibility. And the third one is patience and discipline. Nothing is going to happen overnight. Sometimes we are disappointed, anxious, stressed because things are not happening. And that patience is very important. Discipline is equally important. You get motivated by things. You might watch someone and you feel inspired. You watch a movie and you are, 10 out of 10 in terms of your energy. If you don't have the discipline to carry forward what you were doing yesterday, you're not going to reach where you want to be. So that discipline is important. So those are the 3 things I would say to the young people. But can I also add to that have fun. Be happy about where you are. Associate yourself with people who are going to, or who are willing to lift you, who are willing to guide you. Stay positive. One advantage which the young people have, which absolutely no one of our age has, is time. Don't be in rush. You have far more, you have decades more than us. So you have time. Learn. You fail, absolutely fine. You learn something out of it. You have nothing to lose. So I feel that stress we are creating, the anxiety that we are creating is killing the ideas, their creativity. And you don't want that. You want people to be, the ideas to be free-flowing. And this is where our young generation, I feel sometimes, have to have that mindset of learning, that mindset of discipline, patience. And as I said, again, you have plenty of time, nothing to worry.
What's your vision for the future of next generation?
See, I have a vision, but I would like you to imagine that future and that vision. Imagine a future where there is no bias. Imagine a future where there is equality. Imagine a future where people are able to achieve their full potential. And that's the vision that we should be aspiring for. I would like to imagine that if those biases from our community or individually are not there, equality is there, whether it's gender equality, whether it's other equality that we all so aspire for in our community. And we have platforms which allows people to reach their full potential. Now, how many of your audience or you or me, or we can say that, yes, we have reached our full potential in our life? No.
I haven't.
And if we haven't, then there is work to be done.
What a work to be done.
Yes. So that's the vision, that people are reaching their full potential, that we have a quality of life which everyone deserves, that we have good health, opportunity, dignity, and choice for elderly in our community, that we have opportunities for young people to thrive and reach their full potential, that we have families who are living a life in places like Parramatta, which they deserve, which they aspire for. That's the future that we want. It's about quality of life. It's about whatever we do should lead us towards a better quality of life.
Beautiful thoughts, Sameer.
Thank you.
What a powerful and honest conversation, Sameer. Thank you, Lord, for opening your heart and sharing the real story behind the title. From humble beginnings to historic milestones, your journey is a reminder that leadership isn't about power. It's about service, vision, and courage. To all our listeners, if this episode sparked a fire in you, share it with someone who dreams big but needs that push to act. Remember, you don't have to wait to be great. You just have to start wherever you are. Make sure to subscribe to Rack the Brain on YouTube and other podcast platforms. You've got more leaders, thinkers, and real-life skills coming your way. Until next time, keep learning, keep leading, and keep believing in your power to make a difference. Thank you.